The universe has long been described as a grand cosmic clock, governed by the immutable gears of Newtonian physics. For centuries, we have operated under the absolute certainty that the laws of gravity and motion were the undisputed masters of every celestial body. However, on February 11, 2026, the gears of that clock effectively seized. The standard models of orbital mechanics, the very foundation upon which our understanding of astrophysics is built, have been suspended. We are no longer observing a distant approach from the cold, dark reaches of the outer solar system. We are witnessing a direct and calculated breach of our planetary sanctuary. This is not a simulation, it is a fundamental shift in the reality of our species. At exactly 14 miles UTC today, NASA's Deep Space Network confirmed an event that has sent a wave of paralyzed silence through the global scientific community. The object designated as 3I Atlas has officially penetrated the Earth's plasmasphere. It is currently maintaining an altitude of precisely 20,000 kilometers and is actively descending. To put this number into perspective, 20,000 kilometers is not the deep, empty void of space. It is the exact orbital altitude of our global GPS satellite constellation. This object, which the scientific establishment dismissed as a mere cometary fragment just weeks ago, is now weaving through the vital arteries of our global orbital infrastructure. It is not just in our neighborhood, it is in our backyard, interacting with the technology that sustains our modern civilization. The proximity alone is alarming, but the data point that has frozen control rooms at JPL and Darmstadt is the velocity. When a massive object falls from deep space into Earth's gravity well, the laws of physics dictate a mandatory acceleration. Based on gravitational pull, 3I Atlas should be traveling at approximately 11 kilometers per second at this altitude. Yet, the Doppler shift data reveals a staggering impossibility. The object is moving at a mere 2.4 kilometers per second. To decelerate from 11 kilometers per second to 2.4 while falling toward a massive planet requires a profound and unthinkable expenditure of energy. It requires a braking mechanism that defies every natural explanation of cometary behavior. Natural celestial bodies do not possess brakes, and asteroids do not decide to slow down to avoid atmospheric friction. The probability of a natural object entering Earth's capture orbit at this specific altitude with this exact deceleration vector is calculated at less than 1 in 4.7 billion. In the cold, empirical language of mathematics, 3I Atlas did not just fall here, it arrived with surgical intent. As 3 Atlas enters the region, telemetry from the magnetospheric multiscale mission shows a localized displacement in the Van Allen radiation belts. Normally, these regions are a chaotic storm of high-energy particles trapped by Earth's magnetic field. However, as the object approached, the plasma density plummeted. It is actively pushing the radiation aside, creating a stabilized magnetic bubble, a shield around itself. Theoretical models of Type II civilizations suggest the use of such magnetic fields to traverse the stars and protect against cosmic radiation. Now, right above our heads, less than an Earth diameter away, we at Atlas Oracle are seeing a magnetic displacement signature that validates those very theories. We are watching a masterclass in cosmic engineering. If this were a standard rock, it would be tumbling chaotically and heating up as it interacts with the upper layers of our atmosphere. Instead, thermal imaging from the Subaru telescope reveals a surface temperature that is cryogenically stable, remaining near absolute zero despite the bombardment of solar winds and friction. This is a fundamental violation of thermodynamics. It suggests that the object is not interacting with our environment in a traditional sense, but is perhaps existing within its own manipulated pocket of space-time. As of 30 minutes ago, 3I Atlas has synchronized its orbit and is now in a geostationary lock over the northern hemisphere. It is hovering. A natural object cannot hover. It requires constant active adjustments to remain stationary over a single point on a rotating planet. By sitting at this altitude, 3I Atlas is now sharing space with the constellations that run our internet, our banking, and our global defense systems. At 1412 UTC, the Very Large Array in New Mexico detected a high-frequency burst coming directly from the object. This was not the broadband noise nature produces, such as the roar of Jupiter or the screams of the sun. This was an ultra-narrow-band signal with a bandwidth of less than 3 hertz. In nature, signals are messy and spread across the spectrum. To maintain a signal that tight within the chaotic magnetic environment of the plasmasphere requires active feedback loops and precision engineering that rivals our own deep space communication capabilities. The response from the object has been even more disturbing. When NASA's Goldstone complex sent a standard radar interrogation pulse to determine the object's shape, there was no echo. Instead, 3i Atlas absorbed the pulse, its reflectivity dropping to 0 as it effectively went stealth. Then 0.6 seconds later, it fired back, not with a kinetic weapon, but with a counterpulse. It replicated the exact radar sequence, but with an inverted phase, a process known as destructive interference. This is the exact principle behind noise-canceling technology, but applied to high-energy radar systems. It signaled to our sensors that it was aware of our observation and was closing the blinds. To analyze, invert, and retransmit a radar pulse in real time requires a computing architecture that makes our most advanced military electronic warfare suites look primitive. Visual data shows that 3i Atlas is not a solid object in the traditional sense. It appears to be a shifting geometry surrounded by a swarm of particles rotating in a perfect torus. Spectrographic analysis reveals signatures of graphene and processed titanium alloys. This is not a solid hull, it is a cloud of smart dust, a programmable matter swarm. By releasing millions of microsensors at 20,000 kilometers, the object has created a planetary scanner of immense resolution, a telescope the size of a city aimed directly at the surface of the Earth. It is not looking at our borders or our military bases. Its sensors are focused with surgical precision on the mid-Atlantic ridge, a location where the Earth's crust is thinnest. The scientific community is currently in a state of shock. For decades, we have broadcasted our presence into the cosmos, hoping for a sign of life. Now, that sign has arrived, but it has not come as a radio whisper from a distant star. It has come as a physical presence that has effectively neutralized our ability to track it using conventional means. We are no longer the observers. We are the subjects of a sophisticated interstellar survey. Every second that 3i Atlas remains in its geostationary lock, it is absorbing data about our planet's magnetic field, its atmospheric composition, and its deep geological structures. The countdown to a deeper interaction has already begun, and we are forced to watch from the sidelines of our own solar system as the rules of physics are rewritten in our sky. Every second that 3i Atlas remains in its geostationary lock, it is absorbing data about our planet's magnetic field, its atmospheric composition, and its deep geological structures. But the most alarming shift in the data occurred just 4 hours ago, when the object officially transitioned from a passive observer to an active navigator. According to the standard orbital mechanics that have governed our universe since the Big Bang, 3i Atlas should be accelerating as it approaches its perihelion, the point of its orbit closest to the sun. It should be moving at a staggering 142,000 kilometers per hour based on gravitational acceleration. However, the telemetry from NASA's Deep Space Network has just logged a data packet that simply should not exist in a natural universe. The data shows that for exactly 18 seconds, this massive object, estimated to weigh 33 billion tons, simply hit the brakes. It decelerated in the vacuum of space without friction, without an atmosphere, and without any gravitational anchor. To put the sheer impossibility of this into perspective, you are more likely to be struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket than for a natural comet to perform such a maneuver. In all my years as a physicist, I have never seen a natural object violate Newton's first law of motion in this manner. An object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. And yet there was no collision, no debris cloud detected by Hubble, and no outgassing sufficient to act as a thruster. If 3i Atlas can manipulate its own velocity without expelling mass, we are no longer looking at a rock. We are looking at a machine utilizing a physics we fundamentally do not understand, perhaps a reactionless drive that manipulates gravity itself. The implications are profound because this deceleration was not a random glitch, but the climax of 12 days of escalating anomalies that defy every model of astrophysics. When 3I Atlas was first flagged by the survey system in Hawaii just 3 weeks ago, it was classified as a hyperbolic comet from outside our solar system, but the similarities to natural objects ended almost immediately. Natural objects in space tumble and spin chaotically due to past collisions. However, the light curve data for 3I Atlas has returned as a perfect flat line. This means the object is stabilized with a variance of less than 0.01 degrees, a feat that requires active control, gyroscopes, and clear intention. We initiated a triple source validation protocol, and whether it was the VLT in Chile, the Subaru telescope in Hawaii, or the Gaia spacecraft a million miles away, the conclusion was identical. The object is locked on a heading. But the mystery deepens when we examine the material composition of this visitor. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope trained its instruments on the object, expecting signatures of water ice or silicates. Instead, the spectroscopy revealed an albedo of 0.85, shinier than fresh snow yet containing no water. The analysis suggests a lattice structure of refined heavy metals, specifically an alloy involving titanium and exotic rare earth elements. You do not find smelted titanium alloys floating naturally in the Oort cloud. You find them in aerospace factories. As the object maintains this stabilized orientation, the Carl G. Jansky Very Large Array has detected a rhythmic pulse in its electromagnetic field, a magnetic heartbeat that spikes by 400% every 183 seconds. This is the signature of a high-energy containment field cycling up, an internal power source that is preparing for the next phase of its mission. When you stack these facts together, the artificial stabilization, the refined alloys, the rhythmic power output, and now the impossible deceleration, the common hypothesis of a natural comet collapses entirely. 3I Atlas is navigating our solar system with a level of precision that matches digital algorithmic control rather than chemical propulsion. And right now, its new trajectory is no longer pointing away from Earth. It is pointing directly at a region of space that NASA has been monitoring very quietly for the last 48 hours. The silence of space is about to be broken, and the data suggests we are not alone in this observation. As the energy levels within the object continue to climb, we are forced to abandon everything we thought we knew about the cosmos because the numbers don't lie, and the numbers say that 3I Atlas is just getting started. The numbers say that 3I Atlas is just getting started, and the data suggests we are not alone in this observation because when the object reached its specific coordinates today, February 11, 2026, the silence of the cosmos was replaced by a signal that has effectively shattered the standard model of cosmology. Just 33 minutes after the impossible deceleration event, 3I Atlas began a precise mechanical reorientation, rotating 87 degrees on its y-axis. With the steady hand of an operator aiming a flashlight in a dark room, it locked its primary axis directly on the sun, and for the first time, we began to understand the purpose of its high albedo metallic hull. It is acting as a massive interstellar mirror, reflecting and focusing solar energy with such surgical precision that the ESA's solar orbiter has detected a concentrated beam of light, creating a localized heating effect on the plasma streams of the solar wind. By balancing this unknown internal thrust against the sun's gravity, 3I Atlas has performed a zero-point maneuver, parking itself in a stationary position relative to the star, a feat that requires constant, powerful micro-adjustments as the entire solar system moves through the galaxy. To an advanced species, the planets are merely cold rocks, but the star is the battery, the data source, and the ultimate target. At Tensor UTC today, the Solar Dynamics Observatory detected a sympathetic resonance on the surface of the sun, a ripple in the photosphere directly in line with 3I Atlas, suggesting a coupling or a transfer of energy for which we have no mathematical equation. This is not the behavior of a comet. This is the hallmark of a Type II civilization capable of harnessing the full energy of its star, performing a masterclass in stellar engineering in our own backyard. While the object interacted with the sun, it also began to broadcast a signal that hit the Parkes radio telescope in Australia with a structure that was clearly mathematical and intentionally directed at Earth. This was the arrival of the software, a high-frequency burst transmission lasting exactly 0.74 seconds, compressed and incredibly dense. When cryptographers at the NSA and SETI decompressed the signal, they found something far more disturbing than prime numbers or universal constants. They found a star map of our own solar system as it exists at this exact moment, showing the precise positions of every planet, every moon, and crucially, every artificial satellite currently in orbit. This proves that 3I Atlas had already scanned us. It knows where our GPS satellites are. It knows where our communications grid is. And it knows exactly where our eyes and ears are pointed. But the map contained a terrifying modification. The orbit of Earth was highlighted with a repeating binary string representing 1420.405 megahertz, the hydrogen line. This is the frequency we have used to listen for life for 60 years. And by sending it back to us, 3I Atlas is signaling a confirmation of receipt, effectively saying, I see you listening. This was a tactical ping, a maneuver used by drones to map an enemy's surveillance capabilities, and the implications were so severe that the U.S. Space Force moved to DEFCON 3 for orbital assets within 45 minutes of the signal's decoding. This has never happened for an extraterrestrial object in the history of spaceflight. We are no longer dealing with theories, but with documented observations of an object that has defied inertia, stabilized itself with gyroscopic precision, and transmitted a tactical map of our own satellite network back to us. The energy signature is continuing to climb as the object draws power directly from the solar photosphere, and the latest telemetry shows that the rhythmic heartbeat pulse has now synchronized into a continuous high-energy hum. We are witnessing the final stages of a charge-up sequence that is beginning to distort the local space-time fabric around the object, and the clock is now moving toward a 0 hour that our physics was never designed to predict. The clock is now moving toward a 0 hour that our physics was never designed to predict, and the central question that the scientific community, and indeed the entire world, is currently grappling with is no longer whether this is a natural event, but what exactly 3I Atlas has been commanded to do. We are in the final countdown, and as of February 11th, 2026, the data from NASA's Deep Space Network has reached a state of exponential escalation. Every second brings us closer to a critical mass event that will determine the future of our species. While the public briefings from space agencies have been carefully sanitized to avoid panic, the raw telemetry tells a much darker story. Exactly 12 minutes after the 3D tactical map of our solar system was received, the behavior of 3I Atlas shifted from navigation to activation. The rhythmic magnetic pulse, that biological-like heartbeat we have been monitoring for weeks, has suddenly synchronized into a single, continuous, high-energy hum. The object is no longer cycling its energy, it is wide awake. The energy output of 3I Atlas has increased by a factor of 10,000 in less than an hour. To put that in perspective, the object is now drawing so much power from the solar photosphere that the localized space-time fabric around its coordinates is starting to distort. This is not the signature of a chemical engine or even a nuclear reactor. This is the signature of an entity harnessing the raw thermonuclear power of our own star. If this is a propulsion system reaching full charge, then 3I Atlas is about to perform a leap across the cosmos that will leave our understanding of the speed of light in the dust. But if this is a weapon system, we must face the reality that we are currently sitting in the crosshairs of a Type II civilization-grade strike. There is no middle ground left in the equations. One of these scenarios is our reality, and the clock is running right now. As I speak to you, the Parkes radio telescope in Australia is recording that continuous, terrifying hum, while the James Webb Space Telescope watches the heat signature of the object rise into the thousands of degrees. The object is no longer just a mirror reflecting the sun. It has become a source of light itself. It is glowing with an intensity that rivals the celestial bodies it sits among. We have to ask the question that NASA's emergency briefing at the White House carefully avoided. If the map sent by the object was a command, what exactly was the trigger? By highlighting the Earth's orbit and broadcasting the 1420 megahertz frequency, the universal waterhole of interstellar communication, 3I Atlas, has effectively verified that this planet is inhabited by a technologically active species. We didn't just find it, it found us. And by pointing our most powerful sensors at it, we have inadvertently confirmed our presence. The magnitude of the situation cannot be overstated. The U.S. Space Force does not move to DEFCON 3 for orbital assets over a glitch or a rock. They have seen the same telemetry we have at Atlas Oracle, the evidence of an artificial stabilized object made of refined titanium alloys that can ignore inertia at will. We are looking at a machine that has effectively neutralized our orbital defenses simply by existing. In less than 3 hours, the object will reach its calculated energy peak. The telescopes are pointed, the detectors are live, and the global data stream is active. 3I Atlas has stopped. It has looked at us, it has mapped our every move, and now it is preparing to act. We are the witnesses to the greatest paradigm shift in human history, and we are forced to watch it from the sidelines of our own solar system. This is the moment everything changes for humanity. The data we are receiving is breaking the standard model of cosmology, and the implications of the next 3 hours will echo through our history forever. At Atlas Oracle, we are committed to being your eyes and ears on the final frontier as this event unfolds. We are monitoring the frequencies, the magnetic spikes, and the thermal signatures of 3I Atlas in real time. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand the true nature of this visitor before the official narrative closes in, you need to be part of this community. Subscribe to Atlas Oracle right now and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our emergency updates as the object reaches its energy peak. This is more than just science. This is a survival briefing for the modern age. What do you believe is the final command of 3I Atlas? Is it a beacon for a larger fleet or a self-correction of the solar system? Leave your theories in the comments below. We are reading every one of them as we wait for the sun to react once more. The countdown is live, the signal is active, and we are standing by. Stay tuned to Atlas Oracle.